Welcome back to another episode of Matic Film Society. Today I'm your host, Parker Langren. We're going to be hopping into DaVinci Resolve and taking a look at DaVinci's brand new plugin, the Film Look Creator. This is an awesome plugin that's going to help you create film-like images with honestly only a click of a button. So we are here inside of DaVinci Resolve and we are using a color managed workflow. And if you don't know what that is, there's a link to my last video that discusses how to actually put your timeline into a color managed timeline. Let's take a look at our timeline settings so we're all on the same page. For me, I am working in a color managed workflow. So my color science is DaVinci YRGB color managed. Color processing mode is Rec 709, and the output color space I am going to be shooting for is 709 gamma 2.4 because that is what my monitor is currently set to. I've loaded up a few clips into this timeline. These are shot on the Blackmagic 6K camera, and since they are in Blackmagic RAW and this is a color managed workflow, it automatically normalizes the footage for me. So since the footage has already been normalized, let's go ahead and hop into the color page and see what this new tool can do. We are in the color page. I'm gonna delete that. What I like to do with this plugin is create two nodes. This first node is gonna be my exposure and general adjustments, and the next node is gonna be the film look creator. So if we go over here, I'm gonna show all. We can search for our plugins, film look creator. We can go ahead and grab this and click it and put it right here. You can also do something really cool, and you can go ahead and you can star or favorite one of your plugins, and that way if you're ever searching for them, you can just go over here, press favorites, and there it is, grab it and toss it on. And as you can see, the second I toss this on, it already gives us a really good look, like just out of the box. Looking at this, there's really not that much you need to do. But over here, you do have a whole bunch of different presets that you can play with. And I'm going to show you some of my favorite presets and show you what I like to do. But I'm going to try to keep everything very basic and simple so that everyone can see that it's very easy to create these film looks without having a million freaking nodes. My general go-to is 35mm film. And then I come down here and just play with my exposure and play a little bit with my white balance. So on this shot, I feel like it's a little overexposed. Bring this down, and the white balance could be brought down just a little bit also. That's all you really need to do, and already look, you're already getting an awesome looking image just with one click of a button. Like, there is really not that much that I really need to do more to this image. I honestly think this already looks really good just out of the box. What I would generally do on this first node over here is just play around with a little bit of extra exposure, maybe bring up the highlights a little bit, bring down the midtones, and bring up the shadows a touch. As long as you're exposed properly, I think you're going to be pretty good. But this is definitely a good rule of thumb to keep an extra node to be able to do some extra adjustments after the plugin. Okay. So this shot's already looking good. We did almost nothing and it just looks great already. So let's head over to this shot right here. We're gonna go ahead and add an extra node, toss on the film look creator. I'm already liking what I'm seeing. I'm gonna go to a 35mm. That's looking good. This shot's a little bit too warm. Since this is camera raw, I could go ahead and I could change the raw settings, but I'm gonna show you that you can actually do everything over here too. So if you're not shooting in camera raw, you also have the ability to do this. So my white point, I'm actually going to cool it off just a little bit, and then the same thing, bring my white balance down a little bit, and then maybe just bring up my exposure and just bring down my exposure just a hair. And if I need some extra adjustments, I can come into here and just do it on my exposures. And already right there, again, we're already looking super good. Maybe even just add a little bit of a bleach bypass to just give it a little, take away some of that saturation. So let's take a look, and this is now our image. Let's do a before and after. So there's before, after, and already getting just a very filmic, very beautiful looking image. Let's go to this next shot right here, do the same thing. Put on the film look creator, go to a 35mm. I'm gonna do the exact same thing because I just want all these shots to look uniform. I'm gonna cool off the shot just a little bit, and yet again, just with just a few clicks of a button, this is already looking perfect for me. I'm going to just bring down that exposure just a hair. And again, before, after, before, after. And that was just a few clicks of a button. I could even go ahead, grab this still, come over to this next shot, and just toss that on there. Bam. That's all you need to do. Two nodes, and you're already getting beautiful looking images. And the best part about all of that is I used everything within the plugin and not on the camera raw settings. So you can do this with all of your footage too. Any type of footage you put on there, you can go ahead and add it to here. If you're not using camera raw, what you can do is you can either just go ahead and use your color managed workflow. So for these shots, they're all shot in Sony. I could go ahead and change the color space right here and change this to Sony S Gamma 3, Cinelog, S-Log 3. I could do that on this image right here. And now that this is normalized, I could go ahead and just do the same thing that I've been doing with the other shots. Add the film look creator. Let's go ahead and cool it off just a little bit so it kind of matches those other images. And I'm pretty happy with the results that I'm getting from that very simple color grade. If you're not using a color managed workspace, what you can do is actually color manage within the plugin itself. So let's go ahead and add that film look creator. Scroll down to Sony S Gamma 3 Cine, S-Log 3, and then the timeline color space, I'm going to keep it as timeline, but you could go ahead and change this to whatever you would like to also. For the case that I'd actually be doing, I would be doing a Rec 709, and then I would do it to Rec 709 Gamma 2.4, and that's going to give me an accurate representation of what I am making. Same thing with this one. Let's just go ahead and cool it off just a little bit, and then I can do all of my exposure adjustments on the node right before it. But again, even just with a few clicks of a button, we're going from this to that and giving us a very clean, very good look right off the bat. So a couple other extra features that you can be playing around with in this plugin, and I would suggest going through this plugin yourself and finding out what you like. There is a split toning effect. That split toning effect is super powerful and awesome. And I'll show you basically what it does. With inside of this plugin, you also have a vignette where you can go ahead and increase the size of the vignette so you're not having to create a whole bunch of different power windows to create a vignette. It's a super simple, easy thing. It creates your halation for yourself. But the film gate is one of my favorite, that you can just click this button and it will give you an actual film gate, do the letterboxing for you, and it has a whole bunch of presets that are already there that you can just click and call it good. And I usually turn off the enable curvature. I just like it to actually fit the whole screen. And when you do that, you can even come down here into this panel down here and you can move the image around within that letterboxing. So it's a super easy way to readjust your clips, get your clips to look exactly how you want them and what you want your film to actually feel like. And of course, you can always change the height and the width on these very easily to give it a more anamorphic feel, to give it more of a super 8mm fill, 16mm, and anything in between. The last one I will go over just a little bit is split toning. Split toning is a super awesome thing that used to be kind of annoying to do, but all you have to do now, in kind of a way that I like to use this, is I will push this amount all the way to 100, find the exact hue angle that I want. So I kind of want those walls to be, you know, kind of nice and tealish. So try to find a spot right in between there, mess around with the pivot a little bit, and just slowly dial back that split toning until I get something that I like, and then I can play with that pivot a little bit too. Boom, just like that. Yeah, I like that. That is perfect. So it's a super easy tool. All it's basically doing is when you increase this all the way, it is taking the tones from one color spectrum to the other color spectrum, and you can see which colors that you're choosing right now. So in this case, let's bring my pivot all the way down. I am now putting all the highlights in a very, very warm situation. I can pivot that, so now it's just the highlights. You can see I'm adding a lot of blues to the shadows right now. A lot of blues to the shadows while those highlights are still staying nice and warm. And then I'm just bringing those tones down so that they actually match. So that's the Film Look Creator. Being able to create awesome film style images with just 2 nodes is unreal. And obviously, if you're familiar with DaVinci Resolve, there's so much that you can actually do with just this one plugin. And that way you don't have to go and use all the extra plugins that people make to create film looks. Let me know what you think about the Film Look Creator, and we'll catch you next time.